obviously, congratulations to Opoku-Ware. And they're going to the final. The grand final is going to be between Infantiman School, St. Augustine College, and Opoku-Ware School. So Infantipim School, St. Augustine College, and Opoku-Ware will go into the finals on the 6th of November. It's going to be live here on the Joy News channel. And I know many of you are looking forward to this grand contest, so stay with us as we look forward to that. It's going to be one of those very explosive ones. And what tends to happen is that those old students will all come, even the old, the young, we're mingling on that day, and the bragging rights will be one that many of those who are affiliated to the schools will be looking forward to touting once the contest is done. Well, that's it for the National Science and Maths quiz today, and I'm pretty sure if you check on social media and Twitter in particular, X, you will see that it's trending and they're already trolling each other there. But let's come to the studio for PM Express tonight. It took a bit of our time, but it's fine. We all belong to school. My school was out already, and so I'm already looking forward to a final without St. Thomas Aquinas. But let's talk about the big question around two major bills that the government is pushing through. We're going to ask the question about safety or censor, and many of you have been asking the question around these two bills. What are they? And that is why we need to have this conversation. The two bills in question are just part of a raft of new bills that the government wants to introduce. There are 15 of them in all, 15 draft bills. We've heard this from the Communications Minister, who has been articulating this. 7 of them new, and then you have 8 of them who are the amendments to existing legislation. But the two in question that is generating all the controversy is a misinformation, disinformation bill, and then you also have the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill. The government has asked for memoranda to be submitted to it as part of the legislative process. There's a 14th of November deadline for the submission of these memoranda, but I understand from many of the interested parties and stakeholders that they want an extension. The GJA has asked for an extension. Today, they want a 3-month extension, so the consultations will be more thorough, so we can get more memoranda on the matter, because it really has to do with one of the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution. I'm talking about the freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Let's go into some of the key details as we know when it comes to the Cybersecurity Act. That's the first one. The authority, the Cybersecurity Authority, can, under this particular bill that's passed, can go to court, get an ex parte order to access your data. Ex parte means you will not be part of the process in court. They would have secured it. They can also search and seize your computer systems, retain computer data, and render computer data inaccessible. That's something that they can do under this particular bill that has been proposed. And also, designated inspectors will also be given powers. They can obtain warrants to enter and inspect the computer systems. They can give you 7 days notice without a warrant to inspect your computers and your IT systems there. And then you have the false or misleading information offense. And this is where I've seen some of the those who are opposed to the current text say you are, in essence, criminalizing speech. You're sneaking the criminal libel law back into our legislation, but when you imprison people for putting out misleading information for 3 to 5 years, but you also can get a fine of 60 to 300,000 cedis, depending on what the judge's estimation and discretion is on the matter. Then there's false identity and online harassment. Under this particular legislation, you cannot open a social media digital account under a false identity. It must be, if it's Evans Mensah that you have on your passport or on your Ghana card, that is what you must use to set up your digital account, as in your Facebook or your X account. If you did that, you're fine. If you didn't, then you stand the risk of being fined 1,200 cedis or 120,000 cedis. You can also go to prison for up to 10 years. So again, it raises the question about, isn't this draconian? That's the word many some have used in describing this. And then there's also the misinformation, disinformation bill, which is also being proposed currently, is misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and publication of other information bill, which Parliament has to consider. It creates a division under the NCA, and that will monitor and enforce compliance. So this will be a very powerful body that can do a few things. It declares misinformation, disinformation illegal. So for those of you who think you can go on social media and just simply throw mud at people and say all manner of things that you know aren't true, this is coming for you, right? And you have requires fact-checking desk within media houses. We have one already. It's now mandated for media houses to have that. That is an interesting one. Whether media houses can afford it, because it's not cheap. I can tell you that for certain, that it isn't cheap to set up a credible desk that is with the skills to fact check. Isn't easy. The training you need to do, the experience you need to build over the period. Many media houses, I bet you, will struggle to do this. But of course, key question then is, if the state is requiring this, is there support there to build capacity? And then you have the key one here: host politicians, media influencers to higher standards. Of course, if this is all there is, there's no problem to it. But then you have criminalizes false publication of electoral information. You cannot publish any information about our elections which is false. And of course, you understand why that is, because of its potential to cause chaos and violence. It also bans disclosure of offensive and embarrassing private facts. For example, sexual conduct of a politician, if indeed is false, there are consequences if you put that out. And explicitly, too, you cannot put out information that has a potential to influence the outcome of an election, and especially if it's false. Very interesting provisions in this. And then you have the correction and stop, in terms of the penalties that can be imposed here and the sanctions. Correction and stop communication direction. So they tell you to stop. And then you have the removal of the communication completely. They can wipe it from the internet. Then you have monetary damages if indeed you have damaged somebody's reputation. And this is not, it's an individual. The state is also there, including publishing false health information. Cease and desist order can also come in, and then suspension or revocation of license and administrative penalty are all things that you can face if you go here. Now, another point that has been raised is that, but we already have laws on our books that deal with this. Anybody can take up a defamation suit if indeed you have defamed me, right? So what's the point here? The state itself has laws on our books that will deal with publishing information that is false, that can cause public harm. You've seen the previous administration that has been used and was cited in some cases in court. The IGP at the time had used it in trying to deal with the matter of misinformation and publication of false information. There are already regulations on our book. So why do you need this then, is a question that has been asked. And then you talk about the proposed criminal penalties. This is a misdemeanor offense there. You go away with a maximum of 6,000, but you can be imprisoned up to a month, right? But then you also have imprisonment up to 12 months when you put out hate speech. As for hate speech, we know we track this in Boko, and the hate speech that is there, that is influencing a lot of violence. And so they want to use this to deal with it, right? The fear, though, is that in the hands of a criminally minded politician, if you like, or one that doesn't believe in the freedom of speech, they can use this to silence their opponents and critics. You can also pay a fine up to 12,000 cedis. Now, they say, those who are opposed to it say it's restricting free speech. Legal wording is a bit ambiguous. Risk of political abuse. The MPP minority say they will resist the provisions in here. Let's have a conversation, because the GJA today held a press conference. They are opposed to it. They want more time to deal with the issues more substantively, because it has implications for us journalists too and the work that we do. If you now publish information and you get it wrong, because misinformation sometimes is not disinformation. Disinformation is deliberate. Misinformation, you just didn't know and you published it sometimes, and it's wrong and it's false, and somebody can come after you using this. My guests are seated for a conversation tonight. Safety or censorship? Stay with me after this. And for those of you who are asking questions, hopefully we can get clarity for you on the back of the conversation with those who know. And thank you for staying with us. PM Express is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It is strong, it is tough. Academic Times and Pepsodent Cavity Fighter toothpaste. Ghana, let's talk water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it is not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntax tanks, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle our Ghanaian weather, rain or shine. Syntax tanks are strong, are tough. The Academic Times Journal is launching soon with 3 distinctive graphic publications in the journal to showcase and empower students across all educational levels, while the journal and the tertiary G seeks to ensure that tertiary students' research makes an impact. And so look out for it when they launch. Every time we eat, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. Brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent, every smile matters. My guest joining me for this very important conversation indeed is Martin Yundam. He's a ranking member on the Information and Communications Committee in Parliament. He's MP for Kwandai. Abednego Bandin is the chairman of the Information and Communications Committee, MP for Nyankpanduri. I'm grateful that he joins us.
Panduri. He's the MP for Bunkrugu.
Exactly.
Bunkrugu?
Yes,
okay.
I noticed that when you...
But he's from Nyankpanduri, so you like that.
So the constituency is Bunkrugu,
yes.
but the district is Bunkrugu, Nyankpanduri.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Bunkrugu.
That's the district.
Yes.
Okay. Bunkrugu. Yeah. You know, Bunkrugu is one of my favorite places because,
okay.
you know, when you're using an example of a place that needs intervention in terms of development, I like to use that area a lot because I traveled there one of the election periods to try and sample people's views on what may influence their elections, and you could see almost all the issues: roads, water.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, you're in a place that definitely needs attention. And I'm delighted to be joined by Jibril. Jibril is the General Secretary, New Media Association of Ghana. Jibril, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Great to have you because I know this the issue is one that the minister has been talking about. You know, new media is powerful.
Yes.
They've overtaken traditional media. We become very irrelevant, by the way, as far as I'm concerned. You know, this television station and everything else, we all now feed from them. When you go on an assignment nowadays, you find more new media guys with phones than you find journalists with a television crew. It's just what it is now, and it's. There was a time when I was in school that I predicted that this will happen. Like these guys will just will overtake all of us, and it's happened, and we are living with it. Then the minister says, "Well, let's put in place regulations to check them. Just as we have regulations to check us, they must be checked too." I'm curious to hear his thoughts on the bill as proposed. Dr. Kojo Imprem is the programs director at Media Foundation for West Africa, and is responsible for peace and social cohesion. Will join us with his thoughts too. They've been studying this. Dr. Kojo Imprem will join us pretty shortly on this. But let me start with, I'll come to the chairman in the ranking because this is fundamentally something that they should know about. So they'll tell me where they stand in there. But let me hear from you first. We have the Misinformation and Hate Speech Publication Bill, and then you have the Cybersecurity Bill. Have you been consulted at all, any of them?
No, we've not been consulted. Okay. Since our inception in 2024, we've been going back and forth with introducing ourselves to the officials or government, to be specific. The previous government actually acknowledged us, led by Madam Fati. And then we went back and forth. We're even given the opportunity to partake in some media engagements as well as forums to be able to guide us to know some rules and then those media professional ethics to go by in our line duty. This government came, also did their part, but I think we need more of that engagement because the minister, Sam George, introduced us to TikTok and to be able to use our platforms to monetize and be able to get. So I think government is working one way or the other, but with respect to this particular bill, we haven't been engaged.
But you've seen the bill as it's been crafted?
Yes, please.
Enumerate for me what your issues are with the bill. First of all, are you happy with it?
Well, happy would be too much, but I think as professions, where we believe that we are individual people in the media space and we want to be able to curb our work as a profession. In this case, we are happy we are going to be regulated. We don't have a problem with that. I think everybody needs to be regulated, and even in that matter. But what we are scared of is the policing side of it. We are also scared about the accountability side of it. And
But
so,
why should you be afraid of accountability?
well, accountability in the sense that if you say that I have done something and then you are coming to take my mobile phone for what I have done, you should be able to give me clear guidelines to tell me exactly what I've done. Because the draft that we are seeing is just vague for what we have. Most of our members are complaining about. They are not finding specific statements to be able to back up one of these things. And so we think it's vague. We think we should be involved as a body because we are the only association that has over 200 to 300 members across the country when it comes to new media guys. We are a group of bloggers, we are a group of content creators, we have even online journalists are part of us. We have photographers. And so we have the numbers. And so if such a bill is coming, it has to also do with us. We should be involved.
Fundamentally, when I read this information, I read the bill, both bills actually, it fundamentally has to do with accuracy. And I see throughout, the only time the law catches you is where you're not accurate, where you're putting out, basically you're lying, right? You're concocting information and then putting it out. You should be fine with that. I mean, because if what you're doing is factual information, why should you be concerned about this? Well, what is vague about putting out accurate information? For example, I read here, and the part that I'm interested in, the part about and this is an example, false or inaccurate election information. No person shall publish false or inaccurate information. What you see run through is this use of false and inaccurate. False, it runs through every clause almost. Once the information is true, the presumption is that, and then there's also the public interest angle there. False information about the Electoral Commission, pre-election processes, voting day, collation of election results and election results, which is likely to influence or influences the outcome of a general election, the office of president, election of members of parliament, by election of members of parliament or referendum. So if you're putting out information that is not false, that is true and is accurate, you're fine.
Yes, you're fine. But the punishment is what we are scared of.
So don't put out information that is false.
Yes, so in some cases, even the media, in terms of, traditional media, there are times you get it a bit wrong. And so if you get it a bit wrong, does that mean that you should be in prison for 5 years?
There's nothing like a bit wrong. Right?
Those are some of the spaces we are looking at. If you get it wrong a bit.
A bit.
Yeah, let me use the word a bit. If you get it wrong a bit, doesn't mean you should be in prison for 5 years.
Yeah, but he raised an important point. Let me bring him in on that point. Chairman.
Yes.
So that point is a fundamental point.
It is.
We are human beings. We are fallible. No matter how diligent you are as a journalist, the times that you get it wrong. And that is why you have rejoinders, you have a National Media Commission. There was a reason why it's a constitutional body, because the Constitution itself in Chapter 12 knew that we have to protect speech, protect the right to freedom of expression. And so he says, when somebody gets it wrong, when a journalist gets it wrong, the first action or redress shouldn't be criminalized, is to go to the Media Commission. They will adjudicate over it, and then they will possibly ask the person to withdraw. But this is saying, when you get it wrong, you are going to be thrown into jail in some circumstances. That is tyrannical. That is draconian.
Thank you, Evans. And let me seize the opportunity to say good evening to viewers, particularly my people in Bumpurugu constituency. Evans, I am trying very hard not to get involved in discussing the content of the bill at this stage.
Why?
Because this is just the beginning. The bill has got a long way to go before it is passed into law. And to start to discuss the content of it now, particularly me as the chairman of the committee, is not in the best interest. Because we are just starting the process. And somebody must drive through the process. And that person is the Ministry of Communications, headed by the Minister, the Honorable Sam George. And in his wisdom, he thinks that he should put the bill as it is in its current form and allow public engagement. You understand? And that is why when my brother indicated that they have not been consulted, they have not been, and I've heard that a number of times, not only from them, but other social media users make the point that they have not been consulted. But this is the beginning of the consultation, that the minister has deliberately put this document out there to allow public discourse, so that if you have concerns, you can bring your inputs or bring a memoranda to the ministry for incorporation. They will consider it. So new media, you have indicated you have over 200 members. Why don't you mobilize your membership, okay, into a round table and discuss this document thoroughly and submit a paper to the ministry for consideration? Right after this, the minister is under obligation by our standing orders in Parliament and by the Constitution. The minister is supposed to send a memo to Cabinet for Cabinet to approve. And once Cabinet approves this bill, then the minister would have to gazette it within 14 days and transmit same to Parliament. And when it comes to Parliament, at the first reading, Speaker would have to refer it to the committee, the Communications Committee. You understand? And at that level, we will also have to consult. If we think it is necessary, we will have to invite individuals and organizations like your own to submit memorandums. You understand? And if we find it even necessary to invite you to appear before the committee to give verbal submission or presentation, we will do that. So we still have a long way to go. So for me, as the chair, to sit here to discuss the content of the bill, I think it's a I don't want to use a certain word. I'll be running, putting the cart before the horse. And let me say that. Let me add this.
Except that the minister has asked us to submit memoranda.
Yes.
With a deadline on the 14th.
Yes.
So the process...
You indicated
the legislative process.
Even Journalists Association
they've asked for an extension.
Yes.
The process of legislation, if I may put you respectfully, doesn't only begin when the parliamentary process is kicking. The very first time this idea was conceived,
yes,
on behalf of the people, yes, we have a right to know and to come, even before it comes to your domain.
Yes.
So as for the public interest in the matter, it starts from the minute. There's a reason why the minister has been hinting this was coming in public forums before we even saw the text. So I get you because you're the chairman. Yeah. You want to be politically correct. But for us, the people, well, we have to start discussing this before it comes to you, because not all of us can come before you when you begin to hold the public hearings on the matter.
That is true. So that is what I was going to add.
Yeah.
That colleagues like the ranking members seated here, okay, and then Kojo Ponkruma, our colleague.
They've already spoken about
it. They have the opportunity to take the bill at its current state to their constituencies and make thorough consultation or discussion and public education and get feedback from their constituencies and come back to either the ministry or Parliament when it is transmitted to us. And we will hear them. We will consider them. So I think that it's a matter of when the ministry decide to consult with the public. And I think it is not late at all. In fact, this is just the beginning. It is at its draft stage. It hasn't gone to Cabinet yet. It is just at the ministry. And I think
the
MPs...
Just to clarify, these two bills,
yes,
you say they haven't gone to Cabinet?
No, it hasn't gone to Cabinet yet.
So it hasn't received Cabinet approval yet?
Not at all. The minister deliberately put it out there in order to invite feedback. And that is what we are doing. So sometimes I'm worried when people leave.
But that's an interesting. You say cabinet hasn't considered the bills.
No, because he has to do that thorough consultation and submit a memorandum to cabinet for approval. It is when cabinet approves, then he takes it to be gazetted. And within 14 days, he brings it, it is gazetted, and he brings it same to.
But when it comes to Parliament, you would also ask for memorandum.
Yes, at the committee level, when Speaker refers.
Exactly.
Yes, when Speaker refers.
So this process is that the normal practice that before cabinet considers, the minister takes memoranda from the public and gives a deadline, goes to cabinet, and then when it comes to Parliament, Parliament will also invite for memoranda. Is that the practice?
So what happens is that the minister goes to cabinet with a memorandum justifying why this bill needs to be passed into law. Cabinet will discuss it and give its assent to it. Then he takes it back and gazettes it within 14 days and transmits him to Parliament. So when Parliament, and it's, mind you, the gazetting process can be omitted if it is brought under the certificate of exactly. But in this case, it is not. So he is required to gazette it within 14 days and transmit it to Parliament. Parliament takes it. Speaker refer to the committee. If the committee in its wisdom thinks that there is still public sentiment out there that needs to be incorporated, we still need to hear stakeholders, then we would publish it. In fact, once Parliament Speaker refers it to the committee, it is immediately published on Parliament website.
But this has already been published on the minister's website.
Yes, exactly. So that is one consultation. That is at the ministry. So Parliament, we don't have any knowledge about this. We are closing a blind eye on it until it is brought to Parliament.
Interesting. Then hold your horses for me. Let Martin Young comment on that procedural issue for me.
Yes.
Give me because you've been in government before, so you understand how this works.
Yes, I've been in government, but I've not been a minister before.
Yes, I know.
So
he has been a leader.
You've been a leader, yes.
Let me say hi to you, and then my chairman too, and then my good friend. Then use the opportunity to also say good evening to your viewers and the people of Kwandai. I think that with the procedural issues, I'm very sure that obviously Cabinet will have some knowledge about this. Maybe talking about the finality, I may agree with him, tempted to agree with him. But obviously some will not just come and throw this out there without having president in mind, without having the followers, especially when it comes to cabinet. Cabinet is everything. So I will be surprised that at least he just comes out and then he put it out there just like that. It's good he's talking about the procedure, but what I want us all to look at, nothing in Ghana should gag anybody from speaking. Nothing, absolutely nothing. We must all know that we are human. So it's not all the time that whatever you say that you get it right. You will err. And I like the angle you came from. We have enough laws in this country that gives you the opportunity to correct whatever mistake that you have made. We call it a new media. Obviously it's a new media. So whatever we thought was bad for the traditional media, we should not bring it back to the new media. We shouldn't. In a sense that if you look at the proposed amendments to the Cybersecurity Act, which is about 5 years ago because it was enacted in 2020, so it's just about 5 years ago. The purpose or the aim of the Cybersecurity Act is to regulate the cyberspace. That is the aim. So we will all wish that whatever we do, there will be an improvement. So nobody will say that there will be a law and then there won't be professed amendments to it going forward. That nobody can say. But if you look at the amendment the minister is proposing, it's too problematic.
What are the problems?
You see, now he's moving the authority from just regulation to prosecute. And that's where the problem really comes from. Because the 20B that he brought on board means that if you take the Cybersecurity Act or the authority, they are now going to have a complete police setup within them. And they will have all the powers of the police. They will have all the powers according to the amendment that Sam is professing. And if this goes through, there's going to be a police unit under Cybersecurity Authority that will go after people. And they can even get into your premises without a warrant.
But they'll give you notice.
My brother, what is notice? Even the police, even the actual police, they will need a warrant to be able to search you. It is not about giving you notice. These are key things that all of us must be worried about. Yes, it's a new media. Sometimes I was asking somebody that, so the new media started somewhere. Okay? We are a developing country. So when you go to developed countries, they are far advanced. Are you telling me these are the laws that they've put in place in that place? Obviously, I disagree. So in as much as we want to regulate the new media, we must leave cybersecurity to do the regulations. We have enough systems in this country. We have enough measures that can control some excesses. But for you to now say that you want to have a complete police unit under you, I personally disagree. And I'm sure, like Chairman spoke, I will wish and pray that when it comes to speech, when it comes to freedom of speeches, we must be very careful. It should not be excessive partisanship. Because if we are going to approach these two bills and we want to look at it from our political partisan line, all these bills will pass. There is nothing that will stop it. There is nothing, because the numbers are with them. Okay? But the unfortunate thing is that it is not all about numbers. Although we are about 276 members of parliament, but the country, the people in this country are more than those of us in parliament. So whatever we're doing, we must be carrying the people with us.
Yeah, I want him to address that for me. Let's address some of the specific. You touched on the procedural issues, and thanks for the clarity.
Yes.
But let's look at the principles that this is espousing. Fundamentally, one of the principles that you don't touch is criminalizing speech. This does that, does it not? Both the cybersecurity amendment.
Evans, you are tempting me to discuss content.
We have to. I mean,
I started by saying
not to
that
the clause by clause, but we're
I
looking at the
want
principle.
to into
the broad principle, principle of criminalizing speech.
I have the Constitution here, the preamble to the Constitution, and in fact, the first chapter, or the chapter that talks about freedom of speech, says that any law that is enacted by law that is not in consonance with the Constitution is null and void. So every law that is passed by Parliament must be in accordance with the Constitution. And the Constitution enshrines what? Freedom of speech. There is no way that Parliament would look at bay and allow a law to be passed to criminalize the freedom of speech in this country. It's not going to happen. So all I am saying is that instead of getting excessively worried and attacking the minister who is doing the right thing here by asking for you to provide feedback, we should go to our constituencies.
But we're giving him feedback.
And consult. No, but this is a feedback session. You are attacking the minister.
As in him, or?
Yes, it is, if you look at the discussion that is going on around the social media space, okay, it is about the minister, and not
here on the show,
yes,
we've limited ourselves to the substance.
No, even the submission of my ranking here,
I have never attacked
to suggest
but he hasn't attacked the
minister. Yeah, but the minister is rallying everyone.
No, but he hasn't attacked the minister.
Where have I attacked?
He raised the issue about freedom of speech.
Yes.
He actually talked about Procedural. In fact, he actually agrees with you.
Yes, to some extent.
He agrees with you. And then he moves on to talk about the substance.
Yes.
And then he says, on the subject of criminalizing speech, it's one of those things you don't touch. Which is what
exactly, which I agree with you, and I agree with him as well, because the Constitution gives us that freedom to express ourselves. And I would like to take it from the angle where my colleagues indicate that if you wrong a bit, you understand, whether you should be punished or not. If he agrees that there is a wrong done or committed, I mean, there should be some form of punishment. But maybe the measure of it, the excessiveness of it is what he's worrying about. And Evans, I heard you when you were introducing the topic. You also indicated that. And you raised fundamental issues that has to do with our democracy. In electioneering, declaration of results and all of that, people should be mindful of what they say in order not to disrupt our constitutional order. You understand? Yeah. So if there is such, if you wrong, there has to be some form of punishment. But as to what amount of punishment one should receive is what we should be discussing. And maybe that is where people are required to submit memoranda.
Let me put this to you.
So if you don't agree that you should be jailed for a certain number of months, what do you think would be the required, or in your view, what do you think?
But Abednego,
how you should
but here's the thing, though.
Yes.
There is a fundamental question about whether this is even necessary in the first place.
Okay.
Because Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, has a provision already in there to deal with what the minister is trying to cure.
Yeah.
It says, a person who publishes or reproduces a statement, rumor or report, which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or to disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that that statement, rumor or report is false, commits a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
That's one. And then you also go to the Electronic Communications Act, 2008, Act 775.
Yes.
Says a person who, by means of an electronic communication service, knowingly sends a communication which is false or misleading and likely to prejudice the efficiency of any life-saving service or to endanger the safety of any person commits an offense. Then you have the Cybersecurity Act 2020,
yes,
which also says that empowers the cybersecurity to investigate offenses related to false data, misuse of computer systems, or online deception. Yeah. So you have adequate laws already in place to deal with misinformation, disinformation, false information.
That's right. And
then you have the individual's right to take a defamation suit against you. So why do you need these two bills then?
I agree with you absolutely. Maybe that is where the drafters of the bill has not averted their minds to. You understand? That it overlaps what they are seeking to achieve in this bill and what already exists. So there is that overlapping situation there. So that is why at this stage we have to be drawing the attention of the ministry about what you have just read and asking them to make reference in the law of the various laws that you have just enumerated. If you look at the current Cybersecurity Act, which was passed in 2020, it actually, if you look at the application, it actually makes reference to the sections of the law you have quoted. If you look at application, that is section 1. It says that the act applies to cybersecurity activities in the country. That is 1. 2, this act shall be read together with other relevant enactment, including 1 or A, Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29. Then Evidence Act of 1975. We have the Foreign Exchange Act of 2006, Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2008. We have the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2008. The Electronic Communications Act, which you quoted, is also referred. The Electronic Communications Act amended. And then Economic and Organized Crime Office Act. You understand? So for me, if these exist in our statutes already, what we need to do is to just make reference. And this is being implemented by the CID. Yeah. You understand? So it is overlapping. So we only need to draw the attention of the ministry to avert their minds back to it and do the needful. We don't need to be, too, as if the law is passed and the country is under. No, the law is not yet passed. In fact, there is currently an email, no, not an email, it is a WhatsApp, conversation going on as if the act has already been passed. I don't know if you have seen it.
No, I haven't.
But that impression is created as if it has been passed and it is a law in Ghana. We haven't gotten there yet. We still have a long way to go. So I think that members of parliament like ranking here should go and consult. When was the last time you went to your constituency? I just returned last week.
And did you consult them?
In fact, I am going back to do the consultation and come back. And if I have to submit a memorandum to the ministry, even before it gets to parliament, I will do that. And that is what we should be doing.
I'll come to you, forgive me. Let me come to Matthew. Matthew, but there are some parts of this proposed legislation that are very good, actually. Because you're a politician, let me put the one that I jumped at me because I also do a lot of work in election reporting. The issue about inaccurate election information that we know hold the potential of plunging this whole country into chaos. Now you have a legislation that is explicitly forbidding publication of inaccurate election information. You must be happy as a politician.
I am not, and I disagree.
Okay. Tell me why.
I go into an election. I set up my coalition team. He does same. We have the electoral commissioner. I put my pink sheets together. Maybe for some reason, I get my results wrong. I declare myself that I have won that election. Okay? We all know that it is the electoral commissioner that declares official elections. It is not me. So the fact that I have declared myself that, looking at all my results put together, I have won. So does that make me a criminal?
No, if it's false or inaccurate.
That's what I'm saying. So I put my things together. Yeah. Maybe from a police station A, they mentioned 300. I had 500. So I added it to my results. And that made me a winner. But unfortunately, if you take the pink sheet itself, it is 300. But I declared myself a winner because of the information I got. Does that make me?
But that you can't declare. You can't declare yourself.
Please, what do you mean by that's what you can't declare yourself? You're not getting that. That's what I'm telling you.
You cannot declare yourself.
When you were speaking,
there is a constitutional body.
You must respect that.
There is a constitutional body.
When you were speaking, Chairman,
that has the mandate to declare.
Chairman, listen to me.
You cannot declare.
No, Chairman, just a second. Matthew,
when you're talking about something,
yes,
just listen. I even brought what you are saying first.
Matthew, even what you said,
I said it before.
Under this proposed bill, you are covered.
Yes.
Because it provides you avenues to make amends so that the law doesn't catch you.
Yes.
It says here, 37(1).
Yes.
In addition to other protections provided in this act, a person shall not be made liable for misinformation or disinformation. This is following the election misreport.
Yes.
So, that person corrected or retracted that statement timeously and apologized.
Yes.
So that in other words, when your attention is drawn to the inaccuracy, you immediately retract and apologize.
Yes.
The law says you're fine. And it says, C, the information is not likely to influence or did not influence the outcome of a presidential parliamentary, and lawyers will tell you, the order of the false information was an inadvertent error, which is what you said.
Yes.
And the offending party assumed responsibility. You're fine.
So are you okay? Can I come in?
Yes.
So what I'm telling you is that, look, I've already admitted that there is one body that has all the rights in this country.
Which is EC.
Which is the EC. To declare elections. So even if I sit somewhere and declare myself a winner, at the end of the day, the electoral commissioner must confirm my figures and make sure that really I have won. And he then goes ahead to declare me a winner. Why legislate on that? We have all, if you take, we've run so many elections in this country. The Electoral Commission has always got regulations that regulates our elections, that tell us how to behave at every point in time. Okay? Why will you unnecessarily create tension and intimidate people by bringing such a law? Why will you do that?
But don't publish false information.
Who publishes it? Who is publishing that false information? You see, when you are going into elections, we've been in this country before, okay, where people have suggested, oh, the Electoral Commission has printed some ballots here, they've done this there, they've done this here. At the end of the day, some may not be true.
A lot of it is not true.
Are you getting what I'm saying?
That, yes.
It is not true. Okay? So do you say such individuals, we must criminalize whatever they have done? No, I don't believe that. I sincerely don't believe. I think that, like you rightly said, we have enough laws in this country. And at every point in time, when you err, there is a way you can correct and move ahead. The biggest problem of these laws, these two amendments that Sam is bringing on board, is creating some kind of divisions within and giving them some kind of powers. That is where the biggest problem is. Like if you take the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill, where he's giving them powers to prosecute. If you come to the misinformation, disinformation, he's creating a division under that division, and that division has the right to investigate and prosecute. In some cases, the burden of proof is on you that they have accused.
Yes.
I have not seen that in Ghana. I have never seen it. Although Chairman is claiming that he doesn't want to go into the content of the bill, which I don't want to fault him, that is his opinion. I sincerely think that he said that people should make inputs. And it's part of the inputs we are making.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So I think that if he is set to regulate the system and make sure that right things are done, nobody will have a problem with him. And he must not let divisions or create divisions that will have prosecutorial powers to chase people.
So who must enforce it?
Oh, every authority in this country, they all make, like you rightly said, if you look at what Chairman read, they all make references to existing laws that has the power to prosecute. And that is what I think that we should be looking at. If there's a police that has to take it on board, the law must make references to that act. If it is the CID that must take it up, all those things are properly regulated. But if you want to give your own self some kind of powers, people will abuse it. Politicians will abuse it. And look, when you are passing a law, today you may be very comfortable. The next day, the same law is what they will use to chase you. And you will start complaining. You yourself will start complaining. So sometimes, let's as a nation, let's as a country, let's look at it from a point of view that, look, a new media is coming. People might do certain things that are not acceptable. How do we regulate it? How do we get it? Look, go and look at the criminal libel law and look at the reason why that law was implemented. Go and give them. It is the same reason. You go and read the criminal libel law and look at the reasons why they thought that that law should be brought on board. Exactly the same reasons. But going forward, people realize that, look, people are abusing it. You say something, somebody thinks that, look, it's not the way I want it. He set his team after you, and then by the time you get to know that you are free, you would have suffered it. So I think that we are all making good inputs into it. The bill will obviously come to Parliament. We'll have opportunity. But I want to beg that, look, don't let us treat some of these bills that has to do with our fundamental human rights. Don't let us look at it from a very partisan level. Because if we do, like I said, these bills will pass. Because there is no way MPP can stop it. There is no way members of minority in Parliament can stop it. By the end of the day, it is a law or a bill that will come and regulate Ghanaians.
Yeah, let me hear Jibril.
Yeah, so in our case, you see, the amendment, we have looked into it, and it says that the CSA, you know, this whole amendment gives the CSA the power to be able to regulate, suspend, and issue directives to individuals. But you see, it doesn't clearly define how people can appeal. That's our problem as the new media.
Or you mean the appellate process?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, and so
that's a very
that is where we want to sit on the round table and be able to have that conversation. So the CSA's role is very crucial. We agree to that, but there should be also a clear checks and balance for us, because.
But the court ultimately will hold the check.
Yes, but if you tell me that the CSA can pick me up and then just make a direct what's the name, judgment per maybe the guidelines of what the bill says, it doesn't give me the opportunity to appeal. It doesn't give me the opportunity to be able to fight back and say that, look, I did this and that, and I feel you should also hear me. It doesn't give us a hearing. And if you look at the online conversations, this is basically the prime issue that most of the creators are bringing up. And so, yes, the minister should give us the opportunity. I agree with the GJA. The time limit for this discussion is very small.
For the submission memorandum.
Exactly. It's very small. They should give us more space. Let's sit by the round table and make clear distinctions. We at the New Media Association actually even need to be able to sit down and define some rules. What does the law say in terms of me being a blogger? What does the law say when one says he's a content creator? What does the law say? Because you see, we have also been able to establish ourselves in the sense that we even create employment. We pay tax.
Yes.
I have employed people to go around, gathering news for me. The likes of Amir, Deborah, Scott Sheldon, they are in that space. And it's all new media. And so if we don't sit down and be able to digest and know and give specific rules, we are giving CSA the bigger, broader power to be able to, and it will still lead to where I can't say, or I see something and I can't say. And I mean, that's where the minority would want to, they are politicians. I don't want to.
Yeah, I want to bring in the Media Foundation's Dr. Kojo Imprem, who has been on Zoom with us. And Doc, you've been studying the proposals. And I want to hear the Media Foundation's view on the two pieces of legislation we've been talking about tonight.
And thank you to your colleagues. I must say that some of my submission will be a personal submission, others to be in the name of Media Foundation for West Africa. We have a project that's dedicated to freedom of expression, that looking at how the media ecosystem is safe for journalists to practice what they do and do it more diligently. But I want to quickly add my voice to some of the submissions made by your panelists. Honorable said that he doesn't want to talk about the content of the law. That is his opinion.
At least for
but
now.
I disagree strongly on that, because you see, the procedural approach in which laws are made in this country, we need to interrogate that. It is time that we allow citizens, apart from submitting memorandum to the committee, to the parliament, media is one of the greater actors when it comes to policy influencing. And therefore, what we are doing this evening, together with all the media discussion, is extremely important to help shape the narrative of the bill. That is one. Number two, if there's any bill that's of so important to Ghanaians, in my view, it might be this bill that is seeking to regulate social media. Because as of now, if you go to every household, you will have a great majority of people in that household spending their time, living their time online. And therefore, we must all be interested to make sure this law is sitting in the right frame of legal architecture that will strike the balance between regulating the social media and also striking the balance of freedom of expression and the media. Number two, or number three, we don't have to wait for any catastrophe to happen to any of us. And when I say any of us, to Ghanaians, only for a government to come in and pass a draconian law that will suppress the space. And therefore, I think that this is time for all of us to rally around this proposed bill and make sure we can cross whatever is negative, whatever is possible, we have to support it. If you go to Europe, where we have a stronger jurisdiction of law, they have a law sitting in different jurisdictions, different books. However, they've come out with certain law that's to regulate the social media space. I can mention three to you. We have a Digital Service Act that seeks to deal with the issue of illegal content and harmful content. I think that's what the discussion should focus on. Illegal and harmful content. They also have the Digital Market Act that was passed in 1st November 2022, and they have the European Media Freedom Act. All these acts are separate entities that are seeking to regulate the independence of the media, is seeking to regulate harmful content and removing those harmful content from online. The Honorable also talked about the right to declare elections. You have the right to do so, but then the issue is about election information integrity. Election 2024, at the Media Foundation for West Africa, together with our other fact checkers, we have to set up a coalition that sought to fact check the content of election, and some of the content were damaging. People were then spying hate speech. And even permit me, if you go to Article 21A of the Constitution, it says all persons shall have the right to freedom of expression, speech, which shall include freedom of the press and other media. And in my own interpretation, the other media is what we are talking about, digital media. The same 21E, the last part talks about inciting hate speech against other. This is where political parties are faulted. So before campaign or before election in this country, we have a number of backlash against politicians who are citing hate speech, intemperate language, or harmful content against each other. And that is where I think this law is befitting for us to now regulate and have decent election campaign devoid of insult, devoid of hate speech. Now coming to what the question that you asked.
So fundamentally, you are in favor of the
yes, we are.
The
yes, but there are other elements that the law must deal with. For example, issues about privacy, rights of people, issues concerning rights of users. I noticed my colleague from the social media has concern. Of course, you generate business, but your business that you do must be decent. All what we are calling for that the law must strike a balance between freedom of expression and social media regulation, because we are in the era where, in my personal view, I think we have to be interested in regulating what is consumed online, what is created online. But there are several instances where harmful content are spinning online that is a threat to public safety, it's a threat to public order, it's a threat to public morality. And this issue is what I think the law is seeking to cure.
Yeah, but Dr. Imprem, what about the criminalization of that same free speech then? Because if you get it wrong under the proposed bills, you in one instance attract a fine, but in extreme you go to jail.
Yes, Evans, I think you agree with that. Essence of journalism is to be factual. And therefore, what you put out there, you must be double-checked, you must have fact-checked and ensure that. So I know Joy, even though they want to break the news, they want to be more accurate in fact-checking what they're putting out.
We still get it wrong sometimes.
No, yeah, exactly. There are elements, we are human factor. There are instances where we may get it wrong. That is a very, in research, we say margin of error, where we have an element of negativity. But when we have this large-scale content creators, online producers, massively, intentionally disinforming, then that's a crime. And that's why we are saying that the minister's proposed bill must deal with that, but at the same time not censoring media independency. So that's balance need to be struck.
Yeah, but do you think that this bill as is currently crafted walks that fine line and balances that out in a way that doesn't infringe on people's rights, but also protects the public good and also deals with misinformation? Does it walk that fine line? Does it achieve that balance?
Yes, that balance is not well articulated. And that's why I think that this consultation, this feedback, this discussion is extremely important. And that's why I say that I think the Honorable Minister should not shy away from discussing the content of the bill, because that discussion that will help us to straighten the line of striking the fine balance between protecting freedom of expression and protecting the regulation.
And quickly give me your thoughts on how these two bills can walk that fine line. What must the current bills, as it currently structured, have to walk that fine line, to achieve that balance?
The current bill must not cure or must not destabilize the independence of the media. That is a fundamental principle enshrined in the Constitution. So that's the very one. The current bill must also deal with the issue of privacy, extremely important. So where people's privacy are infringed upon, we will say no to that. The current bill should not attack freedom of expression. That's extremely important. However, issues that seek to destabilize the morality of the society, public safety, public order, where individuals intentionally create content to destabilize that is where we say no. The law have to deal with that element.
Yeah, but the law dealing with that, should that person go to jail?
Well, the element of sanctions, some are misdemeanor, some are other higher grades of punishment. So that is where we think that all of them must come together and say which of the offenses should attract lesser punishment, which of them should be by fine, which of them should somebody go to jail. We then have to meet our feedback.
Yeah, but the fundamental question there is, should any violation of free speech, any free speech excess, attract a jail term?
If a free speech seek to attack national security, if you seek to attack public order, if you seek to attack public morality, I don't find anything wrong if the person has to go to jail. Because these are fundamental ingredients of the Constitution. They call it the social order framework of the Constitution. And therefore, if a content creator is publishing a story, a content that's attacking national security architecture, that's attacking public order or public morality, and that person has to go to jail, in my personal capacity, I don't see anything wrong with that. But that's the essence of journalism. You have to be factual. And that also means that the gatekeeping role of the media and content creators is extremely important. You mentioned fact-checking organization earlier on. I'm challenging the minister when he's done with the bill to now put money on the table to begin training the media to establish fact-checking desks in newsroom. That will help them to play their gatekeeping role extremely well. That will help them to flash out all content that are not helpful for public consumption.
Okay, let me, Matthew, your thoughts on this before I come to you, Chair.
Well, I think that I've listened extensively to him. We're all saying the same thing, but in different form. You see, none of us here who wish that somebody just get up one day and intentionally creates some kind of a demon in this country or create some kind of say something that will lead to some crime and some. That's not our prayer. I get what I'm saying. Yeah. But my prayer and my wish is that whatever we are doing today, whatever powers we are giving to the misinformation and disinformation division, it should be purely regulatory. Whatever powers we are giving to cybersecurity, the amendment we are coming to do should be purely regulatory. But when you create a division and you are giving that division some powers to prosecute, some powers to go into people's premises without a warrant, all these things, unfortunately, you may have a good intention, but the individuals that you are going to put there may act wrongly. Because I don't think that you, Evans, will be very happy. A division is created, they walk in here, bring your phone, take your phone, do whatever they want to do, and you think that they are not infringing upon your rights as a journalist. I think that obviously we should be concerned about that. But creating and moderating and controlling the content, I have no problem. Because I personally may not deliberately put out a falsehood there. But we all pray and hope that the whole nation will be behind this particular bill, because I know the kind of politics we run in this country. We must not treat these bills excessively partisan. I mean, that is all my worry.
Yeah, you made that point quite clearly.
Yes, I want us to look at it from that angle, because this law, if we do it well, it is in the interest of all of us. There is a whole session that deals with politicians, a whole session. Okay, Some fine, some other places I disagree. Where they think that if you are a candidate and somebody says something about your sexual, what, all those things, I think that we should be a bit moderate.
Yeah.
And we should get it right.
And Mamachu seemed to be hammering this point about the divisions and the units that are being created to enforce this. The one that jumps out when you look at the cybersecurity is the powers, the police powers that have been given to the Director General, the Deputy Director General, and other authorized officers who shall exercise the powers of a police officer, including the powers of arrest, search, and seizure, and have the same rights, protections, immunities conferred on police officer in the Criminal and Other Offences Act, right? But here's the case. The Director General, the Deputy Director General, they are political appointees, are they not?
Yes.
And then you're giving them policing powers. That is very, very dangerous indeed.
Yes. You see, so that is why the minister is consulting. You know, I started by indicating that somebody must drive us through. Somebody must sit at the steering wheel and navigate us through the muddy waters. And that is what the minister is doing. The minister should be applauded. And if you have concerns, I have concerns. Some of the sections, I'm not happy with it. But I'm going to thoroughly consult with my constituency and submit my input to the ministry. And I expect that it should be considered. You understand? So it is not about anyone trying to clothe himself with some police powers to hunt anybody. That is not what it is. It is not about partisanship. If it was, maybe we wouldn't have been sitting here and discussing this bill. But because we want to come out with a law that will put all of us in a safe situation, that is why the minister decided to put out so that we can all make input. It won't be partisan because, look, Evans, this is one of the best things that has happened to this country.
Which one?
We have passed, hold on, we have passed several laws that has not seen consultation.
Where?
There has been laws passed.
It is not true.
I'm telling you.
No.
Let me tell you.
It's not true.
We have had several ministers of communications. In fact, in the last 8 years, we had a minister for information, communications, who would not even listen to anybody.
We are talking about a bill. It's not about personal decisions.
So we are talking about a minister of communications who...
We are talking about a bill that has...
We are talking about a minister of communications who thinks that he must consult and carry the nation along to have a proper and befitting law for the country. We all agree that there has to be a law. Look, for 8 years, Evans, we haven't seen any new law in the communication industry. For 8 years, it was as if we didn't have a communication industry. And you know, the industry evolved...
For 8 years.
Listen,
the cybersecurity...
Listen.
No, don't go far.
Listen.
We are just talking about the cybersecurity.
Will you allow me?
2020.
Listen, will you allow me?
No, it's not about allowing you.
Allow me.
It's 2020.
Please,
and
when you were making your point, I didn't...
No, this one, I don't want my chairman.
So listen.
So this one...
Are you telling me? Are you telling me?
This one of those factually inaccurate ones.
No.
On the face
of it, you can't do this.
Oh, only cybersecurity law.
No, but you said in
how many years is it?
You said in 8 years,
so I'm saying
there hasn't been
a law. Don't say that.
In 8 years,
yes,
we didn't review our laws.
Good.
The NCA law, the NCA law, is over 10 years old.
So you know, this is just by the way. Your first pronouncement after the act, if it's passed, you'll be caught.
Yeah, you'll be caught. He will go to jail.
This is not my way.
You deliberately, you go to jail.
But Duncan made...
you're making a point.
That we need to discuss it.
Yeah. Very briefly, because my
he talked about the fact that he, as a major stakeholder in an election, can collate his own results and declare that results.
That he can do.
That he can do.
He cannot do, actually.
No, but he made the point.
He said it, but we all know that he cannot do.
I said that, look, I can't...
You use the word declare. You use the word declare. That you cannot do.
That's what he was saying.
In fact, it would be irresponsible of any politician to do.
I mentioned
that somebody has the constitutional right to do that.
No, if you want, when we are done, let it be the tape. I started by that saying that it is the Electoral Commission That declare official.
Yeah, but you also said
but
that you...
I can collate my. He does same, and I can declare.
No,
like
you
can't
declare. You cannot declare, yes.
You cannot declare.
Yeah, please wrap it up for me.
Yes. So I was going to make the point that, look, we all are stakeholders in elections. We command a lot of supporters on the ground. Okay, and I'm using myself as an example. In the last elections, by 9 p.m., we had collated and we knew we had won with a certain margin. But I never said anything. In fact, my supporters who were around the area I never made an indication for them to know that, no, we had won. But I knew we had won.
But how did you collate it?
Hold on. I knew that we had a collation center. So what I'm trying to say is that if I had made a mistake in announcing that we had won the elections, there would have been chaos at that place. But I was so cool to the extent that the following day, Sunday, at 1 p.m., before the EC declared me as the winner. That is how it has to go. You do not collect your own results and go ahead to declare yourself a winner. That will be a recipe for disaster.
Okay. Thank you, Abednego. Matthew, I'm grateful.
You are done?
Yes, I have to.
Oh, we are done with that.
So now the bill is going to come before you.
I was going to say that.
Briefly.
We should applaud the minister.
Yeah, you said that.
And help him
by
submitting our
memorandum to him.
Yes.
Yeah, it says 14th, and you also want the 14th extended?
Yes, I think so.
You also want
it should be extended.
Because
and you see, you shouldn't wait until the minister calls you to a meeting.
No, individually.
You can knock on the minister's door.
Individually, we've actually also submitted our... as an association. We expect that we should...
But the chairman also is backing extension. Yes, Matthew, wrap it up for me.
Just like he said, you see, the minister has to do a lot of consultation. Yeah. And for that one, this is a very important bill. So important that, look, when we get one single section wrong, it can jeopardize the whole system.
This is part of the consultation.
So, after the consultation, it's not just about politicians, but people who are seriously into media, whether traditional media or new media, because we cannot get this one wrong.
Yeah, okay.
We cannot.
And that's Martin. He's a ranking on the Communications Committee, and his chair is here. We'll see both of them when the bill finally gets to their desk. And Jibril, thank you very much, and Dr. M. Prem of Media Foundation West Africa. Enjoy the rest of the evening.